Okay. All right, the number looks good. If you can hear me just fine, type a yes in the question box so I know that everything's running fine. Okay, that looks good. Perfect. So in this webinar, I want to quickly talk about everything about studying in Germany, and from everything, I literally mean everything. We are going to discuss a lot of things today. English master's programs in Germany. So what are the requirements? How much score do you need in your bachelor's? The living costs, blocked account, things like that. What kind of job opportunities do you get? The story of permanent residency and citizenship. How many months you have to be in Germany or you have to work in Germany in order to get that, and to kind of show you already how many things I've prepared for you. This took crazy amounts of time to kind of fix all of this and put it in the right places. So the only thing I expect from you is no distraction at all during the webinar. If you have phone on the side, make sure that the phone is on silent. If you have some kind of extra tabs open on your browser, make sure they are closed. For the next 1 hour, absolutely no distractions whatsoever, because this webinar has the power to change your life. Because most of the times what people think is okay, just in the webinar or something, but I'm not going to just show you the normal information. I'm also going to show you how exactly it changed my life, so that maybe you can think about doing the same thing with your own. Now, but the only thing I would need for that is your attention. If I don't have your attention, then none of this works, right? So do this for me. I'm going to give you a few seconds, close your tabs whatsoever, and then we start ahead. All right. So everything about studying in Germany in English, because we also have a Hindi webinar. In case somebody's interested in that, you can just go to our website, bharatingermany.com. You'll find the links for both of them directly on the homepage or on the free webinar section. From an ex-tier Hamburg student, I studied in Technical University of Hamburg. It's one of the best universities in Germany. And I had the experience of both studying somewhat structural engineering, because my background from India, I did my BTech in civil engineering. So I did some structural engineering in Germany, and then I was moving to management. So I have experience of both of the fields very nicely. And the main thing about this, studying in Germany part, is that first of all, you don't need any German language at all. You don't have any kind of tuition fee, and you also don't fall into massive student loan debts like you see in USA. I mean, the story of USA is just absolutely horrible, because I've been seeing people over and over again. They just directly equate studying abroad to studying in USA, Canada, UK, and so on, which is completely out of my understanding, because studying abroad should mean you have the right country where you want to really settle down and actually also work, because nobody really goes to study in another country if they do not have the plans of settling down there, right? So that's the main thing which I don't understand, because when you go to these countries, and I call it the legacy study abroad countries, because they have been in the trend for a long time, but they're pretty much getting old. They're not as attractive anymore because of the kind of fee that involves all of this. Now, let's take a look at studying in US, right? If you go to YouTube, you take a look at anything about student loan debts or something, you will see such videos. This is one that I just recently picked up, which was how US student loans became a $1.6 trillion crisis. But it doesn't have to be like that. This is the thing that I say over and over again. And fortunately, when I'm able to speak to new students who are just showing their interest about studying abroad, then I can tell them that, hey, look, Germany is also an option. And this is the same thing I expect to you. If you learn something from this webinar, that you share the link of this webinar to somebody else, so that they can also join in for a later stage, right? This is very important. But sharing this information is so much more important, because what if you're able to save your parents a lot of money? What if you're able to save yourself a lot of money? That is very important, something that you should keep in mind, right? Because studying in Germany is, of course, much simpler. And all of this story starts with so many consultants in India kind of just promoting all of the education consultants over and over again, because not just in India, many other countries too, essentially the entire education consulting industry, I can tell you from experience, it works like that. You have public universities or private universities which have a lot of tuition fee. So let's say here I was showing on the screen $40,000. This is not a unforeseen number for US. It's very common for UK, also for Canada, for Australia. These kind of tuition fee exist. Then they pay the consultants, like the people who are bringing them the new customers, they call it, 10 to 15%, which is $4,000 to $6,000 now per student. Now imagine, even if you bring like 4 or 5 students in a year, you're pretty much set for the entire year. This is how crazy things are. So this is the reason why when I talk about public universities which don't charge any tuition fee whatsoever, I don't have a bias behind it because I studied in a tuition free university myself. That means like whatever information I'm trying to give you, that is like completely unbiased and from my own personal experience of studying in a German public university where I paid zero tuition fee. So I don't have the incentive of taking you to a private university. What I'm trying to teach you here is like how you can also study in a public university. And of course, in the end, if somebody says, okay, I want to study in a private university too, because there's some decent private university in Germany, we can also like, think of that. So now for most of the people who go abroad, like of course we talked about that you have so many like fees and like high living costs and things like that. And US is one of the most expensive countries to live. So, like, when you see all of these things, what do you say? Okay, like, after 12, we are not going to send our student abroad or our son abroad or daughter abroad, or after bachelor's, we are not going to send them abroad, or maybe you don't want to go yourself abroad, right? What happens there is you end up in, like, most of the times, tier 3 colleges. And why am I saying tier 3 colleges? Because essentially anything outside IIT, right? So, and in IITs also you have like tier 1 IITs and tier 3 IITs. There's always this kind of like disparity. So here you have to see that if you have 1.2 million students who are writing the exam, and out of that if only 4,000 students, I'm like leaving all of the reservation and everything because like most of the times if you're talking to general students, like these are the only seats which are really available. All of the others are reserved, have quota system whatsoever, right? So if you just have 4,000 seats available, like do you think the other like these many people like they are not capable enough or they do not deserve to live a good life? Oops, that was my alarm. So, do you really believe that these other students they don't believe they don't need to have a good life in India or they don't deserve a good life? No, that's not correct, of course, because there are so many students maybe who just had a bad day during that particular exam because you cannot decide a person's capability by just judging them from one exam. And this is the one thing that I personally find very wrong in the education system, that you have pretty much your IIT JEE mains. We used to have AI Triple E at that time. You like kind of screw up in that exam, you screw up in your boards or something, and you're done. Like for India, for Indian system, you're pretty much done. The kind of opportunities you will find after that, they will never be the same. So this is something that I really, really didn't like. So essentially like most of the people end up in tier 3 colleges. I also like don't consider like many of the NITs like something special because there was an NIT in our state, Haryana, and it was like NIT Kurukshetra, and we studied in a government university which was called Deen Bandhu Chhotram University of Science and Technology. And because I'm from civil engineering background, I had friends there too, and like the curriculum and everything that they were taught, like it's pretty much the same. The kind of like opportunities they get in the end is maybe a bit better, but it's like not dramatically better when you compare to IITs and so on. So this is the story. Like you end up in a tier 3 college. What happens in a tier 3 college? First of all, you're like discriminated already here, most probably if you're in general category, because you don't have enough seats available now, because the free seats where everybody has the right to get inside on the basis of their merit is very less. Then afterwards, like when that happens, then the second part happens is like when you are put inside a particular college, and then happens when you are actually getting recruited to one company or the next. Now in India, like in at my time, the salaries that they were offering full time was 12 to 15,000 Indian rupees. Now I find that absolutely insane because if you think about it, like even if you're just living in a good PG, paying guest accommodation in India, in New Delhi or something, right? Like especially in the bigger cities, 9,000 or something you'll be paying there, right? And then you have your petrol cost to kind of drive to work. Then you have your food cost. Then you also want to save something. This is not enough money for you to survive in India or like live a good life, and that's why most of the people they do a job and then they end up living with their parents. Now, do you really want to live with your parents even when you're like 18 plus, when you're 25, when you're 27, when you're 30? Like, I don't think so. Like, because you have so much freedom. If you're an adult, you should live the life of an adult. You should be independent. And when you get salaries like these, you don't have that option at all. What comes then is like a lot of frustration, a lot of sadness, and this sucks. I really do not wish this for anybody at all. Now, if you have also seen like salaries like these or something, or like some of the problems that you're facing, like write it in the comments, in the question box below, so I can like see that. Not towards the end, I will also like receive them and I will like respond to them afterwards. So heavy discrimination, and I do not mean to defame any of these companies. I do not mean to like target any of these companies. These companies are transparent enough to show you like what their hiring practices are. Many others follow the same thing, but they don't show it. So don't take it in a negative way, but I want to show you like how exactly like hiring works in India still. So if you take a look at Flipkart, you have tier 1 colleges written right here. Candidates from tier 1 colleges and e-commerce sectors are preferred. All right, interesting. Look at the next one. Nika CRM. And this is all of the things that I found just on LinkedIn. I didn't even like dig around or something. It was just there in my newsfeed. Then you have this Nika CRM team. Look at this. Graduates from tier 1 MBA colleges, IIM, ISP, FMS, MDI, XLRI, IIFT preferred. So what should all of the other 1.2 million people do? You tell me that. Like if you're not even letting them apply to these positions, what do you expect? Like what should they do? Like then what happens all over, like every single time is they push towards these exams. We just go for government exams, UPSC, GATE, IES, and so on. No? And that's why you see such a craze of like just government exams, and like who are earning the most in the government exams. That's not the students who actually like end up getting the job, because again that's a very tiny fraction even in government jobs who get the job. It's the coaching institutes, right? Because it's like in the gold rush in America, the people who made the most money were not the ones who were digging, but the ones who were selling the shovels. And the same thing is true in our case right now with the coaching institutes. Now let's take a look at the next thing, which is Ixigo, and here they also say right away, BE or BTech from tier 1 college, work experience of 2 to 5 years in a good product company. All right, like work experience you can still get, but how do you fulfill the requirement of tier 1 colleges when most of the students, the vast majority of the students, end up in tier 3 colleges, me including, right? So anybody can say, no, ours is a private, the public university or something, it's a state government university whatsoever. But in the eyes of the people outside your state, it will still end up as a tier 3 college, because most of the times tier 1 is IIT, tier 2 is NIT, tier 3 is everything else, which really sucks big time. But this is the reason why I'm telling you that if you do not want to like settle for a life like this, if you do not want to like kind of get discriminated over and over again, like not just in the hiring process but also in this university selection process and so on, like I really think like Germany has the power of changing your life. Because for me, like I started with a simple like kind of guy with my friend in our hostel room, like with towels and everything hanging in the back, to like owning my own house and like having my own boat and like living one of the best lives possible. And all of this was possible because I chose a different path. I didn't say, okay, I'm going to like struggle in India and I'm going to go and get a job in public sector or something. I was like, no, like I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on doing something different. And whatever I did different is exactly what can also help you out in the longer run. So just pay focus, pay attention, because this is where the more important things start. Now, features of Germany. So first of all, anybody can do it. You don't need to have like crazy amounts of score in your bachelor's or something, or research papers and things like that, because people are always confused about it. Now, I've been doing YouTube since 2017. I run a YouTube channel called Bharat in Germany, and the YouTube channel has at this time like over 200,000 subscribers, so like 2 lakh subscribers. And this is the main question I get over and over again, like I have this and this score or something, can I get inside German universities and so on? And I tell you, the admission criteria for German universities is pretty decent, especially like when you come for German taught programs. So I will talk about all of those things in detail too, but just stay focused and we go ahead with this now. So you can have a 3-year bachelor's program, that is BSc, BCA, BBA, BMS, whatsoever, like whatever kind of like programs are available. You have 3-year bachelor's program. It's not an issue at all. You have bachelor's plus diploma, so or like diploma plus bachelor's. That is also not a problem at all. If you have 4-year bachelor's degree, for example, BTech and so on, like of course not an issue. And if you have already done your master's and you still want to study in Germany, that is again not a problem at all. So these are not the things that you have to be worried about. You can still study with all of these programs in Germany without any kind of problems. Now, let's take a look at the score, because bachelor score is something that most of the people want to know, and they're like, what kind of score should I have, like minimum? So, if you're coming for bachelor's, so for masters, you should have in bachelor's at least 65%. The same is true for bachelor's. If you're coming for bachelor's and 12th, you should have at least 60%. Now, 65% is a nice score because after this, like there are very high chances that you can get inside a public university, which is tuition fee free, and you do not have any kind of, let's say, yeah, massive unsureties there. But if you fall between 60 to 65%, it's more of a gray zone. Below 60%, it is more difficult to get inside public universities in English programs. So then what you can do is you can learn German, and you can like come for German taught programs without any kind of issues whatsoever. You can come for private universities. Both of the options are there for you. Now, in my personal story, I got the score in my bachelor's of 7.343 CGPA. Right, that was my score in my BTech civil engineering in India, and I still went for a German taught program. I was like, okay, this could be interesting. That maybe I can get inside public universities and English programs, but in fields like civil engineering, you need German because you have to go to the construction sites, or you have to like maybe some design some kind of models directly on your PC. But then you have to work with Euro codes, you have to work with the German standard codes and so on. So there you essentially need some German so that you can do things independently and you don't have to ask anybody else. But in other fields, if you take a look at IT, mechanical engineering, and like in mechanical engineering too, like they're always like spectrum. But in most of the other fields, you don't need such crazy German proficiency. At least not at the time of studies. When you start studying in a German university, then you can pick up your German, because then you still have 2 years. And going from an absolute beginner to a good business proficiency level, you just need 5 months for German. It's not as difficult as everybody claims it to be. There are way more difficult languages. I'm learning right now Russian and Turkish, and I see like Russian is a lot more difficult than learning German. And at German right now, I have native German proficiency. And like it had to be there because like now I also am have a German passport, and like all of these things like kind of fall nicely in hand with each other. But again, like that was not the case when I was applying for the universities, right? Because when I was applying to the universities, this was me with my friend chilling in my bachelor's hotel, is not hotel, hostel. You cannot call it a hotel. And yeah, more about this story later, right? So 65% is a score. That is better that you have it. All right, let's take a look at the ease of getting PR and citizenship. Now, in Germany, getting a permanent residency and citizenship is very easy. Germany has special clauses for students who study in their own universities. So, in the German universities, that is, you study, you work for 2 years. Afterwards, you can work again afterwards for 3 years. So after 2 years, you get your permanent residency right away. And once you have your permanent residency, you work for another 3 years minimum so that you are able to get your, a German citizenship. Because there they ask for 5 years of social contribution. There are some clauses in which you can reduce it even further, try to get the citizenship in 2 years. So in a total of 6 years from the moment you're in Germany, you might be able to get your citizenship. 7 years is safe for sure. And from the moment you're in Germany till like you get your permanent residency, that's 4 years. Just 4 years. Think about this. So this is how crazy I find, because this is like sometimes way better than Canada and like most of the other countries you talk about. If you take a look at US has this like horrible system of lottery. So they're like all of the green cards and everything. The permanent residencies, they are like given out by lotteries, which I just don't understand. Like how can you feel secure living in a country where you do not even know if you would be allowed to stay full time once you're done with all of the work, right? Now, in Germany, you also don't need any kind of German, like when you're studying, right? But when you're finding a job or something, it's really recommended that you learn German. But you have enough time for that, and you will have enough free resources to do that. You don't need any kind of work experience when you're coming to study in Germany, and you don't need any IELTS exam. it depends from university to university, but the universities which don't ask for IELTS, they will ask you for a medium of instruction certificate. And what it does is like it pretty much states that your bachelor's was an English medium, and this means you don't need to write the IELTS exam. And this is a very simple document. Your university can help you out with that. So definitely make sure that you also take a look at everything. But for all of these things, you can always seek out for some kind of guidance, right? Like there's my YouTube channel. I have some online courses. You will get guidance from me too, like anytime. That is not a problem at all. You can just write us an email or enroll in the courses, and like we can help you out with that. Now, you also have way better quality of life and work culture than the legacy study abroad countries. Now, what do I mean by the legacy study abroad countries? I think I already talked about it. That is like USA, UK, and so on, because that used to be the case. Everybody would go there, but it's no longer the case. Like more people are coming for Germany than like for other countries. Now, freedom to move anywhere in Europe without visa applications. That is such a nice thing. You have no idea. So, fun thing. We were living in Germany from 2016 to 2019 because that's where I did my master's essentially. Then afterwards in 2019, we bought a house in Denmark, and then like we could go back and forth. 2020, like we were essentially like going to Denmark a lot of the times. Then 2021 we moved to Romania because we wanted to like set up our own business. That worked out really well. Now we are back in Denmark. Then we are going to go to Germany. Afterwards we are going to go to Norway. So this is so nice. I mean, like imagine having the freedom to experience any culture that you want without any kind of borders, without any kind of these barbed wires. You cross from Germany to Denmark or to Poland to Czech Republic and so on, like directly by road. Like this is so nice, and you don't have any kind of like these feelings that okay, like that you are just like stuck in one single country. Whereas if you go to US, you go to UK, you go to Canada, you go to Australia, most of the times you're stuck in one single country. You cannot have like this freedom of like going from one country to the other one very easily. It's very difficult. And German passports, if you read about it online, it's also one of the strongest passports which allow the most like visa free travel. There's I think like one or two above that. It's amongst the strongest. So like just imagine coming to Europe and spending your summers in Spain, or like then going to spring in France, and like going to Italy, Greece, Denmark, seeing the northern lights. You see these aurora borealis, like you can see them in Sweden, Norway, Finland. All of these things are possible for you, like if you just make the right decision right now. Because this webinar is about making a decision. Right now, many of you might be, should I go to US? Should I go to UK? Maybe I will just do what everybody else is doing, and that is GATE and GRE, like not GRE, GATE and IES and UPSC. But that will not take you to a different life. Different life, you can expect different things when you take different decisions from other people. And that's like, I think the one thing that I can tell you. If you want to take one thing from this webinar, and that is just pretty much this. If you want a different life, take different decisions. Because if you take the same decisions like everybody else, you will not live a different life. It will be the same like life like everybody else lives, right? So if you believe in this, first of all, write in the comments, write in the chat box so I can see that. Perfect. I'm going to drink water real quick. Yeah, empty. All right, I'll do that later. So let's go ahead. Things are changing in Germany, right? Because like you have, first of all, a very developed country. So it's again like Germany doesn't have to be said. Germany has been the largest economy in Europe. So largest economy since 2008. And pretty much like that kind of like explains everything. You also have like one of the lowest unemployment rate, or if not the lowest unemployment rate in Europe. I think it's just like around 1 to 3%. And then you have such beautiful nature, and you have like such completely fairy tale old houses and towns. So it's a lovely country to live in. And then Germany also like has been really pushing for more and more migrants, because they need 200,000 plus immigrants every single year. Like it's becoming the next Canada, because if they are not able to get these immigrants, they're not able to increase their productivity. So if you don't have increased productivity, you don't get the money. If you don't get the money, you don't get the taxes. and taxes are needed in order to feed the older generation. That is very important. Like the pension can only be given when the younger generation is working, right? So here you can take a look at this. This specialized, this, what do I call it? Specialized jobs, yeah, more like, specialists. So if you are a doctor or something, engineer, or if you're in a highly specialized field, then they are seeing that the number of vacancies are just rising year over year, whereas like the people who are like applying for them are like not the same. So this is the reason why you should definitely focus on this and really take the plan of like Germany very seriously. Because for me, like right now, of course, I did my master's in international management and engineering from TU Hamburg, but like the story was completely different. I studied in a university called this. For some people, it takes a few minutes to like even pronounce the name, but Deenbandhu Chhotram University of Science and Technology, and it was in a small village called Murthal in Haryana. State government university. Everybody was very happy that, hey, like, it also says like you visited 7 years ago, which is just absolutely crazy. Is it 7 years? Yeah, I started my university in 2012, so like pretty close to that. 2012 to 2016 I was studying in the university, and like we used to like live together in hostel, like with the friends and so on. And what used to happen was like, first year was fine. First year you're still trying to like understand things, where should everybody go. Second year is still fine. What happens in the third year is a craze. Like also like it starts in the second year itself. Like in the third year they just go crazy about UPSC and GATE and IES exams and everything, because that's what everybody else is doing. But I'm telling you, even if you have the tiny bit money left to spare and kind of invest in your own education, the kind of life that you can get in Germany, and it's day and night difference. This was the hostel where I was living, where we didn't even have like water sometimes in the toilet, and the food and stuff was like also like not the best really. And that's why you see like us being so skinny at that time. I think nobody nobody had any amount of fat there. Then I realized that like if I want to like change something, I really need to find out some opportunities where I can go abroad. So this was when I went to a conference. The conference was called International Association for the Advancement of Space Safety, and this happened in the south of Germany. So if you take the map of Europe, like just at the very bottom, like at the border of Switzerland, essentially, there's where this thing happened, the conference. So I went there, and that's also where I met my like now wife Alina, and like that was a pretty nice experience. I did it in third year, right? And like there was so much fight, you have no idea. I had to argue with my placement officer. I had to argue with my head of the department. I had to argue with everybody, because in my university, they were not as open to going abroad for like in this stage of your life. Maybe in your university it's a bit different, but in my university that was not the case. So I really like kind of persuaded them over and over again, because many people just complain so much. They're like, he's not allowing me, my professors are not allowing me. You are the one who wants to get something done. So you have to be the persuasive one, not them. It's not their responsibility. So something that you should really keep in mind, that you cannot complain if you want to get things done, right? At this stage, I think I was 19 or something, or maybe 20. No, I was 19, yeah, when I came to the conference. And still, like 19 means an adult. 19 means I can take care of my own thing. So I flew alone, and it was a pretty nice experience. Then afterwards, I started working in this company. So this was the summer of 2015, and the one before that you see is like what, 2014. Yeah, so this happened in 2014. Then in 2015 I came for an internship. That was also pretty nice. And the nice thing about these things was that I just learned so many things. Like I understand the German working culture, and I understood that okay, like Germany is really the nice country where I really want to like kind of live and build my life further. Now that's pretty much the changing moment for me. So like always look for new opportunities. Like this is the one thing I can really tell you. Like the way like many people think that if you're in tier three colleges, like you just deserve a horrible life, because this is essentially like the motto of many of the recruitment agencies and also like companies in India. But I don't really believe that. Like even if you're in tier three colleges or something, you can still build an absolutely beautiful life for yourself. That's very important that you remember this, right? But all of the things that is needed is taking action, really. If you just laze around, like I have no respect for people who laze around and like they procrastinate all the time. If you just laze around, like life is going to stay the same for you. It is never going to change. Something you should really focus on. Then afterwards in 2016, I started my master's in TU Hamburg, one of the best universities in Germany. Then we got married, and then from 2017, so 2016 to 2019, I was essentially like, working on my master's. We got married, we are still married, so don't worry about that part. And then I got my certificate, man. I was so happy, like, just like taking out this certificate, making a video on YouTube. You can also like see this video on YouTube. I think it's called Master Certificate Unboxing or something from TUHH. I tried to make it a bit funny, but hey, I was just so happy that like none of the other things really worked out. So also in 2019, then we bought a house in Denmark, and like we kind of started our Airbnb. We worked so much on this house, we invested so much money, and now like when we started multiple different businesses, I started my marketing consulting company in 2020, and then afterwards, like in 2021, essentially we got my dream thing, which I've always wanted to have, which was a boat. And yeah, life is pretty great right now. If somebody would have told this guy here that like life is going to look like this just in, I don't know, 5 years or something, I would have really never believed that. And this is like the proper, like completely zero to getting somewhere story. But this was not all without any kind of problems, because what happened at this time was, before I was like going to TUHH, I was, of course, talking to my colleagues and stuff, and I was asking which are the good universities. They told me, okay, TU Hamburg is pretty nice. But what I did was, when I applied to TU Hamburg, the biggest thing that happened was I just got a rejection right away, which was really heartbreaking because I didn't know anything, right? There was like nobody else to guide me. Now, like my YouTube channel is the largest YouTube channel which helps other students to study and work in Germany. But like at that time, Bharat in Germany didn't exist. Bharat wasn't studying in Germany at that time. So I was still like, trying to figure out things on my own. And the biggest mistake did was like not getting good guidance. There was also no good guidance at that time. So that's why I got the rejection right away when I applied. Then to like kind of go around the rejection, you have to write a reconsideration letter. You have to make a really big case for yourself. Okay, like this is the reason you should let me study in university and so on. And then like it essentially got accepted. But I got a lot of support from my previous companies where I was working at, so that really helped out. Now the pitfalls in these kind of scenarios that I see is like when you're applying on your own, the biggest problems that you see is like you just have these kind of chances of like getting rejection, wasting some years of your time. But on the other hand, when you see the consultants in India, like from which you can take like some kind of guidance and stuff, first of all, they always try to push you towards private universities, which I don't find fair. Because what if you're not like really interested in private universities? Maybe you don't have the funds for that. Then like of course they should like try to guide you towards public universities. Again, it's not in their hands to get an admission, but they can definitely guide you, right? But this is not the case in Indian education consulting industry at all. They will always try to push you towards something. Then expertise, like most of these people who are like consulting, like they have not studied in German public universities themselves. They haven't studied in TUs, so they have not the same kind of expertise like maybe I or other people who have studied in German universities. Now what they also do is, because like I think this is also not completely their fault, it's also like the fault of the students who go with them. They copy paste documents. So they will say, okay, don't worry at all. We will file your applications. We will make your letter of purpose, statement of purpose. We will make the letter of recommendation. You can just get it signed by the professors, and we will get the CV and everything. Now, the biggest problem with this is like, if you're lucky, they have two or three people like writing documents for them. If you're not lucky, it will be just one single template from which you're copying, pasting, and like kind of going in circles over and over again. This means when you're applying to some of the universities, the likelihood that so many other students have the same kind of statement of purpose is very high. What does it mean? It means that you're pretty much screwed, because afterwards like the rejection comes very quickly, and all of the time that you wanted to save, now all of the time you wanted to save, so that will not be saved, because you will have to then wait maybe another 6 months or something for you to apply again. And this is not nice at all. This is the reason why I say I think this is also the thing that I learned from my business coach, which I got from my marketing consulting company. That was The most important decisions of your life, you never outsource them. Because if you are outsourcing it to somebody else, they don't care about your life as much as you would care about your own life, right? Like how you go further in the future, how much months you're able to save by doing things on your own, by taking responsibility of your own things. That is so important because you cannot rely on other people. As soon as you start relying on other people, it's half game lost already. So I do not believe in that. This is the reason I started like Big Academy back in 2018, where I was like guiding students and how to like apply to German universities and so on. But I never like take anything. I don't like fill out your documents or something. But I provide best like guidance from anybody else about how do you go around this entire process. The result for this was that like we have over 1,100 students in our complete course for studying in Germany. This is how essentially it looks like. It's an online course. You can like go through the lessons and things like that. But then we also have some more things. We have a private Facebook group just for the students who are enrolled there. And then I also take live Q&A sessions. So sometimes I have the intercultural trainings with my wife, Alina. And then sometimes I have like, the standard like live Q&A sessions. Sometimes we make some infographics and things like that to educate people so that we are not like kind of showing you just the application process, like take you to the visa process and drop you there. We actually want to train you for Germany because when you come to Germany and you want to be successful, getting to Germany and starting your studies, that's step one. You cannot say, okay, like the game has been won at step one. Nope, that's not true at all. So this is the reason like we started this course. And like just to quickly tell you about main features of this course, first of all, you have lifetime access to the course content. That means even if you're in your first year of bachelor's, second year of bachelor's, whatsoever, you can still enroll in the course and you can still enjoy the benefits of the course till the time your studies are going to be done in Germany, till the time you start your application process, your visa process, and so on. Number of intakes are always unlimited. You have Indo-German cultural trainings also included in the course. We help you with the document preparation because we have the guidelines directly inside the course. Then we do the reviews, and the reviews are unlimited, right? Here's the difference here. We don't write your documents, we give you the guidelines, like this is how it is written, these are some of the samples and so on. But we never encourage students to copy paste because that is one of the stupidest things you can do. Like this is the reason why I'm like kind of emphasizing on it over and over again, that if you want to get a good chance at studying in a German university, don't copy paste. That's bad. Then we review the documents as many times as needed. Then we have the university shortlisting. We help you with that. Application assistance. So if you need any kind of help filling out the applications or something, you can just ask us your questions. You can be from all study streams. Like we just do not provide support for medical field. So if you want to come for MBBS or MD or something, but anything else, like as long as you have to study in a German university, we help you with that. Like it could be law, commerce, business administration, engineering. Anyways, you can get guidance from here. Support, you have till the end of the studies. You have additional processes, for example, visa application, blocked account. Every single thing that you can think about is directly covered here. Now workshops also we have about like how to learn German and all of these things. And we have bi-weekly live Q&A sessions that I've already talked to you about. So about the scholarships part, because I know a lot of people like ask me about it. So in the scholarships area, we also have directly in the course, I can just quickly find it. So okay, scholarships, like the first one is in section 3, lesson number 20. So pre-arrival scholarships. And then afterwards is in section 8, lesson number 3, post-admit scholarship. There are two types of scholarships in Germany, right? So the main thing there is that Germany like does not provide scholarships like very easily to master students because like again tuition, there is anyways no tuition fee, but once you're in the German universities, then getting a scholarship is rather easier now. But like it's rarely like such an amount that like you can cover everything no? And I'm going to like give you more information via email about this, so you can keep an eye out on that. And I'm also going to like give you my own personal email address so that you can write to me when you have questions there. All right, so let's go to the part of like types of programs available. Like this is the technical side. So if you want to come for bachelor's in Germany, or like maybe you know some friend or something, your parents, friends, whatsoever, like this is pretty much, you can share the link of this webinar. And this is how it looks like. If you want to come for the direct bachelor, so like you want to just come to Germany, start your bachelor's right away, you have to go for IIT JEE Advanced or IB. But if you have done CBSE, right? So what happens is you have to do another year, which is called the Studienkolleg. This is one extra year that you have to study in Germany. And there are so many student colleagues available. You can always like reach out to us for that, and we can help you with this. So with the student colleagues, you essentially get 13 years of education, because right now, like in India at least, we have 12 years of education so far. So if you have 12 years of education, you go to 13 years, and then you're eligible to apply to German universities. The eligibility criteria is not so dramatic. Like you generally need above 60% in your 12th grade. You need German at least B2 for public student colleagues. So public student colleagues don't charge any tuition fee. For private student colleagues, you have to like generally pay a tuition fee, but like it could be very less. Like I've seen student colleagues which just charge like 3,000 euros or something, and if you compare it to like Indian standards, like that's 2.4 lakhs for like 1 year of studies. Some of the Indian private universities like charge more than that, right? So you can study some in universities like these, and then afterwards you can still apply to both public and private. So that's very important, that you have to keep in mind. You can apply to both public and private universities even if you go from private student colleagues. This is something that many people don't know. And again, this is the purpose of this live session, that you're able to like kind of understand it. This is the purpose of this webinar. Now, if you talk about masters in Germany, there are also like two different ways you can do it. Like first of all is the English taught programs. Like I said, like if you have above 60%, you can come for English taught programs, but you have to keep in mind that you might have to study in private universities too. But if you are like above 65%, then the chances are pretty high that you will be able to get inside a public universities. And all of this is on the basis of the data that we have. So every single year, we collect data from students. Like right now, it's written like based on the data collected from 520 students. Just in this year, we have collected another 130 students. So like that is going to be changed. So 650 students now. Then on the basis of this data, we can tell you that, okay, like these kind of universities might accept you and these kind of universities might reject you. So English taught programs, you don't need any kind of work experience. That's the biggest myth. If you take a look at my journey here, like, did you see a part where I said I was like working afterwards in my bachelor's? No, because I wasn't. I was only working during my bachelor's, and that was this internship. That's pretty much it. But I was still able to like start my studies in TU Hamburg. You also don't need any kind of German, like for the English taught programs. Most of the times, like that is like really not a problem at all. Something that you don't need to worry about, right? Then comes a part of the German taught programs. So in German taught programs, you of course like need German. Like there's no way around it. But like this is also the reason. Like I just finished all of my German directly in the last masters of my last semester of my BTech. And it was actually doable. Many people think like, yeah, German learning takes so much time, blah, blah, but it's absolute nonsense. It doesn't take so much time. You can still finish it in 5 to 6 months. It is 100% doable. I did it that way. And I was not a brilliant student. Like, you say 7.43 CGPA. I know like some students, especially in South India, they get crazy scores like 9.8, 9.4 and things like that. I'm like, yeah, I definitely would never get scores like that, but it is still doable. Like building a good life for yourself is still doable, right? Score doesn't matter for German taught programs because there's very less competition. Like imagine a foreigner, right, who first of all like learns German and then afterwards studies their masters in German. There are very less people who do that. Very, very less. But so if you do that, if you're amongst the ones who do that, there will be open doors for you, man. Open doors. Like you don't have to worry about anything else because the competition will be so less. So that's why I generally like really recommend that if you have like very bad scores or something, like come for, I will just leave it here, come for German taught programs. It really helps out. For this you need German from B2 to C1 level. These are the CEFR levels. I will like maybe talk about it more in detail, or you can just send me an email or something, or Google. I think like that's the best way. And then if you still have questions, just write to me an email I will give you at the end of this video, not right now. Like this is going to be a extra benefit for the people who are sitting till the end. So test out with 16 points, or you also don't need any kind of work experience. That's also very nice. So with this you can also study in Germany. Now imagine, like, are these requirements harsh? Not at all. Like with IELTS stuff, like these are for most of the universities with 6.5 you're good. Some universities also don't need IELTS at all. So like tell me if this is difficult. It's not, right? And if you can use this and then you can like live a life like this, or like live a better life than most of your batchmates who are like still in India and like trying to push for like all of these exams and so on, And like for many of them, I know the motivation is like, we will have so much power, we will have so much status, our parents are going to be proud of us and things like that. I'm like, do you also think about yourself? Will you be proud of it? Will you be happy when you stay in India? Will you be happy when you never go to any other country? You have no exposure whatsoever to other countries? I don't think so. Because if you stay in one single place, it gets boring. It gets boring very quickly. And that's why I see like Europe to be the perfect antidote. Like you can go to so many different states. So states, I was thinking like in India, but you can go to so many different countries, and you can always keep on changing the way you live, the kind of country you live in, and so on. Now about the jobs part, like jobs are actually pretty simple to find in Germany. I made this very detailed graph. Like you can see the major German companies. You have Volkswagen, you have Audi, Adidas, you have SAP, you have BASF, you have Lufthansa, you have DHL, now Continental. There's so many, Allianz, Siemens. What else is left? Mercedes, Bosch. There are so many companies in Germany. Like it's unreal. This is something that you'll never have to worry about. Buy stuff. I think most of the people, they know Nivea, the cream, right? Like that's also like one of the largest companies, and it is in Hamburg. It has 3.47 million companies right now. And of course, like there are going to be more and more companies, like coming up, more and more companies becoming bigger, massive. So 3.47 million companies, and of course, like especially for the mechanical engineering field, is pretty nice. It has been the largest economy since 2008. Now again, the myth about mechanical engineering, that is something I want to like talk about, because it is not possible that one country can only survive on mechanical engineering alone. Do you think like really SAP never hires like software engineers? You think BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen doesn't hire software engineers? Do you think they don't hire electronics people? Like what kind of story is this, right? Of course, like you can be from any field possible, and you can still get pretty nice like results there. Also Hochtief, for example, that's pretty interesting company for civil engineers. So this is not something you need to worry about. Now the permanent residency and citizenship you can get in maximum of 8 years. So 2 years you study, then after working for 2 years you can apply for your permanent residency. That's your first big milestone. And then after doing that, you can apply for citizenship in 3 years, because you need a total of 60 months of working or paying taxes. So that's like the easiest way. You need B1 German proficiency for that. And then in some states, there are clause of like getting the citizenship even sooner, which is like in 2 years or something. So that is like, depends from state to state, but this is like not really common that much. So I would say this is the standard part, like that you're studying for 2 years, right? That's very easy. You work for 2 years, that is also very easy. And then you get your citizenship in 3 years. Now, if you're coming for some like specific field, and you're getting a lot of like money there, and especially the money from 56,000 to 58,000 euros per year, then you can even get your permanent residency in just 21 months, which is crazy. This is called the EU blue card. So with this, like, you essentially save 3 months more from your standard PR time. But if you're not able to earn that much, you can still get in, like, it just takes 3 extra months, so it's not so dramatic. Okay, so now we are going to go to the FAQ, because these were the questions which were sent to me previously before the webinar started. So I'm going to like go through them. Most of these are like covered here. There were like so many of them, but I kind of like repeated them. So something that you should keep in mind. But again, before we head into the FAQs, I'm already going to like give you my email address, because like maybe you feel that you want to like already write to me or something. You can do that here. And also, like, if you want to like sit down on a one-on-one appointment, you can also do this here. So this is bharatingermany.com/appointment. Shouldn't be difficult to remember, right? Both are very easy. Bharat is my name, Bharat at bharatingermany.com, and same with the appointment, bharatingermany.com/appointment. And if you are already so motivated that you want to like enroll in the course, there's also a special offer available on your webinar dashboard. So you can see that, and this offer is going to go away as soon as the webinar ends. So before the webinar ends, make sure that you copy the link somewhere, or like you have it somewhere, so that you can like at least use it. We are going to keep it open as long as the seats are still available in the course. If you receive an email from us saying, okay, like the seats are closed, then it means yes, it's closed. But as long as you see the button here, enroll in course, like it's pretty much available, right? Okay, so this is that. Now we will have some very important questions, and this is going to like cover anything else that we have missed so far. For example, the living cost. We can start with that one. So total amount to send my daughter to Germany. What is the blocked account? So blocked account is pretty much a security that you have to show to the German state, and this is around 10,000 euros per year. It keeps on changing every single year, so like keep in mind that it might be different when you're watching this webinar. But like 10,000 euros per year, that is pretty much the standard. Now, how is it divided? They say that in Germany to live, you need 863 euros per month, like right now, right? So with this, if you're having 863 euros per month, then you don't need state from the help from the state, and you can survive yourself just fine. So that's the benchmark. But the actual cost that I've like seen from the students so far, like that ends up around like 600 euros or something, like not more than that. So that's the story. And how much is 10,000 euros? Again, it will depend from the it will depend on the exchange rate, but 10 to 10 lakh 9 to 10 lakh rupees, and this is like per year, right? This means if you study for 2 years, then it doubles. But again, what you have to keep in mind is this is all your own private cost. It is just your living cost. This is no tuition fee, right? There is no tuition fee in Germany. So at least like if you think, okay, like why should I pay so much money? Like this is not something that Germany is like charging you at all. Like you have to live somewhere, you have to eat your own food, like you have to get a phone SIM card or something. These are like just the cost for that. And the German taxpayers, for example, don't want to like subsidize on that, right? And I think like that's also fair. We can both agree. Now, negative points or any harm to any Asian. Is Germany safe for female students? We have so many female students. You can take a look at our YouTube channel. It's called Bharat in Germany. Yes, I was very creative with my name. Not. And yeah, you can take a look at this. There are a lot of like, series of which we built. It's called A Day in Life of a Student in Germany. So you can take a look at these series. So far, we have built 3 seasons, and you can see so many students in those series. So you will see a better life there, like better idea of like how it is to live there. So take a look at that. But it's very safe. Like so far, I've lived in so many different countries in Europe, but like my experience of Germany has been the best so far. I really cannot complain. Can a low GPA student learn German and study in a German taught program? Absolutely. Look, I had 7.43 CGPA. In Germany, you use comma instead of a dot. So that's why I got into the habit of this. But yes, 7.43 CGPA I had, and I was able to study in a German taught program, because many people get so scared. They're like, oh, German taught program, it is going to be more difficult, blah, blah. Nope, I was not a particularly smart student, but I was still able to like, study in a German taught program with 7.43 CGPA. So can you. Even if you have like, 6.0 or something, or if you have below that, it's not an issue at all. Learn German and like study in a German taught program, and we can help you with all of that. Can a student survive in Germany and manage his expenses by doing the part-time job? Yes, I think. So here you have to keep in mind, in Germany, you can work for 20 hours per week, and the minimum salary in Germany is 10 euros per hour. And there are, 4 weeks? No? There are 4 weeks in a month, essentially. So if you like calculate all of this, 20 times 10, 200 times 4, 800. So you end up with what? You end up with 800 euros per month. And what did I tell you previously? That your living cost in Germany as a student will be 600 euros. So you will be able to like cover the cost very easily. That's not a problem. How can you help me with your BIG course? How is the system of SOP, CV, LOR preparation? Can I ask you and your team any small doubts that I have? So like I said, we provide the best guidance possible, because I studied in a German university myself, and I know exactly how Germans expect your Motivationsschreiben, which is the German for statement of purpose, letter of recommendation, and all of the other things to be. That's exactly what I've taught in the course, and this is the best way you can like prepare yourself for studying in Germany. There's so many people who are going to like pitch you other countries or something, or Germany, but like unless they have studied there in a public university, in a TU or something, they will not know the same standards. So that's where like our course is entirely different from anybody else, and you can ask me or my team any doubts that you have anytime. That's not an issue. How to get scholarships in Germany? Should I apply for scholarships in Germany? So like I said, scholarships, you can see like most of them are like post admit or something, but my course kind of like takes you through more details there. And also like with the course, you just don't like get these things only. You can also like see the stories of other students, how it was for them to like go through the course and everything. You can read these experiences. You also get like more, let's say, add-on benefits with the course that is also like included there. Then let's take a look at, can a middle class student afford the expense of living in Germany? Of course, I mean, if you, the simple rule of thumb is like, if you can afford like studying in studying in India, if you can afford studying in India, you can afford pretty much studying in Germany, because the cost, even though like 9 to 10 lakh rupees sounds like a lot, but you will be able to recover the cost like very easily, and there are so many education loans available that even if you don't have the funds for that, you can also get education loans. And like in education loans, there are also companies which don't ask you for any collateral. So this pretty much means that you can still study without my voice is going, without giving any kind of, let's say, things on mortgage, right? So you don't girvi rakhna, like whatever you call it in Hindi, like you don't have to do any of that. So that's very nice. Hello, sir. I wanted to just say, okay, we have covered all of this here. Yes, now we go ahead. Hello, sir. I just wanted to say I'm really thankful for your videos. My friend has been your student and she has gotten admit from RWTH last year and she has recommended me to you. My parents just have one query. Can I get support from you till my master is done in Germany? Yes. So I think this is pretty much we also covered previously. Where is it? Right here. So we give you support till the time your studies are done. Yeah, exactly here. So support till the end of your studies. So it doesn't really matter to us. Like what we want to make sure is that you actually succeed in Germany. That's very important. So something that you should definitely focus on. Can a middle class student afford the expense of living and studying in Germany? Okay, yeah, this one. So I think that is also pretty much covered. You don't have to worry about that as long as you're in the course, like we help you with everything that you need. Can parents come together for some months? Yes. So if you're a parent and you're coming for Europe, or like you want to meet your daughter or something, or your son, you can live for 3 months in a 6 month duration. 6 month duration. So that means this is the tourist visa or the visitor visa that you have, and you can come for a total of 6 months in a year. It is not possible to like bring your parents like full time in Germany, because Germany differentiates in that. But if you just have one single parent, like then you can bring them full time. That's not a problem, because Germany says that if you have two parents, they can take care of each other. But if you just have one parent, then of course you can bring them over and you can take care of them. Will Germany become against immigration in near future? Like I said, Germany needs 200,000 plus immigrants every single year, so that is not a possibility. Like it's very very unlikely. Um, Okay, then this was the interesting question that I got, which is the study abroad consultants are charging me 2.5 lakh rupees and they're always telling me to go for a private university. Should I go with them? My daughter has 8.12 CGPA. Now, these are sometimes the question that I get from professors, sometimes from parents or something who are also like, attending the webinars with their children. Now, the interesting thing here is that if you're having such a good CGPA, you can very easily get inside the German universities. And like I said, many of the consultants, they have this model where they are going to push you for private universities so that they can get their commissions, right? Now what I do is I work very differently. For us, like, yes, we work, and for us to like make that work, pay our bills, we charge something, but this is like something like 10% of what you would pay anywhere else. And we also don't have any kind of bias that we need to send you to private universities or something, because again, most of the work that is being done is on your side, because you are not outsourcing your decision to anybody. We're helping you, we're guiding you, but like if you have any kind of questions whatsoever, you can always ask us. But I think this is like pretty much nonsense. You will find so many of these people like trying to help you out somewhere, but it's like with ill intentions. Job opportunities after BTech or BSc in Germany. So you actually have a lot of them, but I would say directly from BTech coming to Germany, it's more difficult, because you do not have like German proficiency, or maybe you don't have work experience whatsoever. But even if you have that, Germans still prefer the degree from their own universities more, because they cannot judge how was it, like what kind of education did you get in your home country. That's the main thing that you have to keep in mind. That's why it makes sense that you essentially are having like some kind of degree from Germany. Then it's the easiest. Is German necessary to study and live in Germany? Is there any way out? Like I said, to come and to study in Germany, you don't need German. Like that's the biggest myth that people have. But when you're in Germany, to live a good life, to like connect with different kind of people, then learning German, that makes sense. And like I said, it just takes 5 to 6 months. If I wouldn't have learned German, like imagine the kind of opportunities I would have missed, both personally and both like academically or like professionally too. Here, for example, I met my wife because, and like I made my girlfriend my wife because I knew German, because otherwise it would have been like very difficult to bond with her and her family. And then also like for like finishing up this studies and so on, and like my marketing consulting company. So what it does is, it's called Brand Device Consulting SRL, and it essentially like does marketing consulting for most of the German clients, so German companies. So if I wouldn't know like German proficiency there, like no company would work with us, because they want to feel comfortable with somebody that they're like outsourcing their marketing like decisions to, or they're like kind of saying, okay, like come and supervise us or like audit our marketing activities. They wouldn't do that. So for me, like this has been the game changer, and like this helped me like build the life that I have, really. So then afterwards, let's take a look at another thing. Is Germany? Yeah, all right. This one we already covered. What is the minimum requirement to get into reputed public German universities? Like I said, 65% at least. That's the best. I think now we do not have so many questions left, so maybe I can see if there will be still some questions in the chat box or something. Job prospects after completing your masters in Germany for both engineering and non-engineering fields. Of course, there are many. Like the biggest myth, and this is something that I want to tell you, is people just think Germany is equal to, what is equal to here? Mechanical engineering. Now, if you have something like related to mechanical engineering, you're building machines, companies, whatsoever, you also need managers, right? You also need people in marketing who are like, educating people about the product. You also need people in accounting. You also need people in law. You need people, like you will never have anybody who is just going to be like building a very dumb thing, which is why you need like people with some smart skills. So that's where we can put the people from computer science inside. um yeah, computer science, electronics, right? So there is no way possible on the planet that you will have just one company doing one stuff and not needing anybody else. It doesn't work. That's the basic structure for companies. So, and also like psychology, like if the work gets worse and you need like people to talk to somebody, then you will also hire a psychologist. So you have to keep these things in mind. This is like absolute nonsense that people like just kind of like spread around, and it's not your fault. Like it's just the kind of like stuff you read on the internet, right? Why Germany over Canada, excluding the fee structure? So can you compare the job opportunities? So first of all, like I said, the amount of like racially motivated crimes and the incidents that you see in US is unreal. Like Black Lives Matter started in US. It didn't start in Germany. It didn't start in Europe. So like Europe is still very safer and a lot more secure than most of these other countries that you will see. In the gun violence that you see, like every next month or something, there's a shooting in the schools. Like I would never feel comfortable like living in a country like this. That's why I personally really believe, if you want a good quality life, if you want some time for yourself, if you want to do different things, then really like Europe is the way to go. And like in Europe, like Germany is the best country that you can go for. I will complete my graduation next year, so what should be my first step towards the preparation to go to Germany? Right, is it okay to not have work experience? Yeah, it's completely fine, like I said. And if you want to like start your preparation, you will not find better guidance than the complete course for studying in Germany. So like this is the course I built. There's so many other courses. We have a course for jobs, we have a course for studies, we have a course for freelancing. So we have covered everything. This is your one-stop platform for anything, any soft skill training that you need for these things, for coming to Germany. Also presentations. How do you like present in German universities and so on? Every single thing is covered here directly. So that's the main thing that we have covered. What else is left? Will I get admission in German public university? Yeah, of course. So you can get into good public universities without any problems. And if you want to like see what kind of universities you can get inside, you can take a look at all of these experiences of students which are on the website, and you can find it directly on the course page, right? So spend some time with us. Like, of course, the webinar is like now slowly coming to an end, but the only thing I can tell you here is that like, don't make this webinar as something that you just like wasted 1 hour on. Like, think of it as something that you needed in order to move to the next step. How long are you going to wait? How long are you going to procrastinate? Because this is the most stupid things you can do in life. You have very finite time in your life, because you're young. You feel like, okay, like, it doesn't really matter, like every single day we are going to wake up, we still have infinite time ahead of us. But time moves really fast. Somebody smart said that, like, the decades are short but the days no the days are short but the decades are long, so something like that, or it was the other way around. I don't know. The main thing was that in the longer run, time runs really fast, even though the day feels like, okay, like, it's so long or something. But if you would see, okay, like, maybe just like 5 years ago, I feel like I was in the school or something, or I was with my friends in bachelors. So time moves really fast. You should be focused about this and make sure that you take some actions towards it. Like, maybe it's like learning German. Maybe it's just like, focusing on universities. Maybe it's like watching more of my content on YouTube so that you get a feel for Germany. Whatever you have to do something, because if you take the same kind of decisions like your friends, like, this is the one thing I can guarantee you. The best way to not build a different life for yourself is by going down these paths. If you want to build a different life for yourself, you have to take different decisions. No, that's, I think, the end thing that I want to tell you. And I see a lot of, like, questions going on too, and like these are directly, like, also like getting to my email. So like, I will see, like, if you have any kind of interesting questions or whatsoever, you can write to me. But if there's still something that you want to ask me, keep in mind that you can, like, frame your question, and you can directly send it to me at bharat@bharatingermany.com. Right? So did you guys like this webinar? Okay, I see in the chat. Nice. Yes, like, that's the one thing that you can take with you. Of course, one guy is saying, I will take the quote with me, I will post it on my wall, which is, if you don't make different decisions, you will not lead a different life. And that is true, 100%. So I hope this webinar helps you, and I hope you take some action on it. And if you have any kind of questions whatsoever, you can ask me. If you want to enroll in the course, the offer on the course, as long as the webinar is going on, is still available, as long as you can see this button. And if you see that the course is closed for enrollment, then of course, like, we cannot take any more students, and that generally happens pretty fast, right? Perfect. All the best, and I will see you maybe on YouTube or via email. Keep an eye out on your emails, because I'll be sending you some interesting stuff there. Bye.